And then finally, I'll finish off with the research-proven supplements. So there's a lot of research out there, and there's a lot of companies trying to sell things. So the whey protein isolate, as I said, Paul Cribb, I mean, it's probably been as well studied as anything else. And the whole idea of whey protein isolate is the fact that when you train in the gym, you create damage to your muscles and you deplete your amino acid levels in your bloodstream. So at that point, your body is really, really hungry for nutrients. And if you can give the nutrients at that point in time, that's going to optimize muscle protein synthesis. So that basically means the protein that you've just eaten and your muscles, they synthesize to rebuild and create new muscle. So if you can provide the right nutrients at the right time, then that is really good, obviously. So whey protein isolate is the quickest way of absorbing that protein, getting it into your system, improving the amino acid levels in your bloodstreams to get better results. So as I said, why is this important for fat loss? Well, if you're looking at fat loss, you want to have more muscle because that's going to build your resting metabolic rate. It's going to give you more ability to work harder in the gym. And so therefore, that's a really high priority for anyone. So whey protein isolate, having around 30 grams. So again, there's research, there's debates about whether it's before or after or during when you want to have it. But at the very least, if you're having it immediately after you train, that should see some benefits. But again, you'll sort of factor that into your overall intake over the course of the day. That becomes more important if you're training first thing in the morning, for example, and you haven't eaten. It becomes more important if you're training for an extended period of time, if you've got an event that you're working on, to maintain the amino acid levels. So again, it's a factor, and I'd certainly encourage most people to do it. But you know, I assume a few of you are already doing it. Creatine monohydrate is the next one. Just as much research has been going into creatine monohydrate. And again, Paul Cribb's done it himself. So it's nice when you get really good research done in a really thorough way that gives you confidence in how that works. So creatine monohydrate is stored in the muscle and basically gives you the ability to work at high intensities. So clearly that's a good thing. The higher the intensity that you can work, the greater the stress that you can put on the muscles and the metabolic systems, and therefore you're going to get better results. So creatine monohydrate, there's clear proof that does that.
Sorry, Luke.
Yes.
So would you recommend with the creatine that you have it before, during, or after?
Yeah, exactly. So what I was about to say, I'll give you the recommendations as they came out there. So basically there's a loading phase. So there's only a certain amount that your muscles can store at any one time. So you can't. So there's no point in taking like a bucket of it. It's only small amounts at a point in time, but throughout the day. So you want to go through a loading phase. So this is what the research has found. The best way of using it is up to 4 grams, 4 times a day, including pre and post workout, for 4 days. And that'll be enough to load the muscles, to saturate them basically with creatine. And then you can just enjoy having that in your system for the next 4 days. So have 4 days where you don't use it. Basically do 4 days on, 4 days off. That's the best way of using it. But again, if you just include it as part of the pre and post workout, then that's always going to be a good thing.
Because I've had probably too much of that prior to workout and it just comes straight back up.
Yeah, you quickly learn that lesson. Yeah, I made that mistake once. It's not good. No, I didn't have my scoop in the creatine thing, and you only need, it's like literally half a teaspoon, and I just thought I'd just pour it into my shake, and just a clump went in there, and I was like, it'll be okay. And drank it down, and for the next hour or two, I was just like, oh, that's not good. So what it does is it attracts water to it as well. So that's what it makes your muscles appear bigger because there's more water around them. So if you do that in your stomach, then that's not really a pleasant sensation. Yeah. So be mindful, it's only small amounts, but that would be the best way to use it if you wanted to use it, creatine monohydrate. Caffeine is a really good thing to use as well, mostly because it decreases your perception of fatigue. So again, it gives you the ability to work harder for longer. That's probably the main benefit. There are other benefits to caffeine as well. I won't go into it in too much detail, but again, having a short black before you train, not a bad option, particularly if you're doing that first thing in the morning.
I got told to have alphamine. Is that?
Alphamine, I'm not familiar with that, I can't say, unfortunately.
It's apparently like, I don't know, one little scoop thing of it is probably 3 or 4 shots of caffeine.
Right. Yeah, so again, it's going to come down to your individual tolerance levels. For me, I don't personally drink coffee because, I don't know, I've just never liked it. So my tolerance to it is minimal. If I have coffee, then I'd be like this for forever. If I had 4 shots of it, I don't know what I'd do. Yeah, so that's going to come down to yourself and your own preferences. Yeah, that'd be a recommended thing. There's lots of other benefits to it as well, but from a performance perspective, it'll decrease your perception of fatigue. And then finally, beta-alanine is another supplement that's been researched heavily. Again, I won't go into too much detail about how it works, but again, there is some positive research that it is effective, There hasn't been long-term studies about the safety of it. There's nothing that proves that it's unsafe at this point, but there hasn't been any long-term research as to its safety. But again, that's basically going to give you the ability to work harder for longer. So, again, you can get more work done at a higher intensity. So about 6.3 grams to be precise, apparently, is the research proven amount that you could have in a day, and doing that in small doses over the course of a day is a way to go. So that's something that you might want to investigate. It's up to you. This is not by any means a recommendation specifically you should do this, but up to you. Do your own due diligence. If you find that it fits in with how you perceive the world and all that kind of stuff, then go for it. Give it a go. So therefore